young guy was going to become anti-Israel in the conservative movement,
just stomp them out immediately.
They could crush that person.
That's right.
Easily. And grind them under the heel.
Yep.
So they sort of were alerted, oh, there's a precocious young guy that isn't on board with Israel. We'll keep an eye on him. And if he gets too vocal or popular, we'll cut him down. We'll crush him. Because
this happens everywhere. It's very obvious. People wanting... It's the same thing I said before about Twitch streamers trying to shit on new streamers coming up because they want to maintain their hegemony. That's it.
At this time, as you know, in 2017, it's a very different time. 2016, 17, any criticism or dissent on the subject was a death sentence. You became radioactive, unhireable, blacklisted, and that's exactly what happened. And basically from then on, it was just this escalating series of blacklisting, censorship, hit pieces, rumors to try to ostracize me from the movement. And
while you're a college student?
Yes. As a freshman,
So looking back with that 2020 hindsight, I mean, Ben Shapiro seems like a big part of your political evolution.
Yes.
You went from a fan/acolyte to an opponent and then just pivoted against everything that he believes.
Yeah, it was because it was this new dialectic that Trump forced.
Yeah.
Trump planted the seed.
And the seed was America first.
Yes.
So once you accept that, a lot of the way we're doing things becomes impossible to support or justify.
Well, it becomes very simple. It's like, is this in the best interest of America or not? And I think that a lot of times the answer to that is no. Like sending over a bunch of money overseas for some sort of humanitarian thing might make people feel good, but is it really the best thing for America to be doing? The answer to that is probably not really.
And neither do I.
Right. The contradiction becomes apparent. It gets moved to the center, and it becomes unignorable if you're consistent.
Yep, America first is common sense. Yeah, of course it's common sense. Yeah, duh. And Nick Fuentes says that America first is fucking bullshitter. Yeah, people are gonna think. I mean, you think whatever you want. I mean, I'm not gonna get into that. Yeah.
I said, I think you're one of the greatest living Americans. I said, I'm a young guy. I said, I really have nothing to say other than thank you. I have nothing but gratitude for what you've done for the country. I said, it's really not my place, you know, to give you advice or correct you. And he said, no, don't be bashful. Tell me. And the story that I brought up was, this was really what sent me. In the first Fox News debate in 2015, in the Republican primary, Red Bear, the first question, said,
why are you calling him fat? Oh, no, this one.
Raise your hand if you will not pledge to support the eventual nominee.
Yes.
And Trump raised his hand.
Oh, so a little bit of context. People might not remember this. So they asked, they asked every single candidate to raise their hand if they would support the Republican nominee for the fucking 2016 election, regardless. Every single person raised their hand except for Trump. That was the actual question.
Because that's what he was saying. He said, you know, if I don't win, I'll run independent and I'll make Republicans lose.
Yes. Fuck them.
And so I brought that up. I told that story and I said, you know, I feel like what was inspiring in 16 is that you were willing to let the Republican establishment lose. Like you were serious about.
That's right. Because if you don't get what you want, you will burn the entire motherfucker down. And unless you do that, people will prey on your ability and your unwillingness to do that. That's it.
Blowing them up.
That's right.
Such that you were not going to say, like Cap Buchanan, who I respect, but Sam Francis acknowledged that was one of his great mistakes, was ultimately endorsing Bush. I said, it showed you were serious, you were playing to win.
Yeah.
Because you said, I will let this Republican Party crash and burn. I want to run Republican, but if I can't, I'll run independent. I said, and that's how I knew you were serious. And that's how I knew you were the guy. I said, and I feel like lately, this was right after Ronna McDaniel became the head of the RNC again. I was like, I feel like lately you're just behind all these people. I said, we're not here for Kevin McCarthy. We're not here for Ronna McDaniel or Mitch McConnell. I said, we are here for you. Like, we will die for you. We are loyal to you. I said, and when you did that, that showed you could win, and we rallied. I said, so I want to see more like that. I want to see you hit DeSantis, let's say, who is running against him. And he was like, oh, okay. He goes, oh, so you like that? It was right after he called him the sanctimonious.
Yeah.
I said, that was awesome. You should have kept hitting him. He's like, oh, you like that? He goes, this guy's hardcore. I like this guy he was saying about me. And so I was trying to just get his mojo back, and, gas him up a little bit. And
I think he's like that now again. I think for a while he was kind of a pussy in his first term, but now I think that he thinks that he has some mandate by God or something. He's like, I need to go to heaven, so I have to stop all the wars and do all this bullshit.
So that's how it went between me and him.
And
Almost died, yeah. Nothing to lose, exactly. Mandate for Israel. I'm not a fan of that either.
Well, he was he was beaming with pride. Because Trump turns to him and says, who is this guy? This guy's great. And he was like, right? And I was like, this is amazing.
you call your parents in parking lot?
Oh, yeah. You'll never believe. Yeah.
So he met Donald Trump with Kanye West?
If everything is inherited, then there's no hope for the continuation of America. Can you see that?
Yeah, I don't think it's genetically inherited. And what you're saying about putting aside the tribal interest for the corporate interest, that's absolutely the case. And that's the only way the country's going to stay together.
Exactly.
And
That's my concern.
And I absolutely agree with you. I would say, though, that the main challenge to that, the big challenge to that, is organized Jewry in America.
But can you repeat your success?
How many views does this have on YouTube?
Life must prevail over death.
2.3 million views, and on Twitter it has 10. This is something that's probably been seen 20 million times. It's a lot.
I think Bill Ackman is capable of that. I don't think Shel Madelson is capable of that. I don't think Yoram Mazzoni is capable of that, for that matter. And many other, on the right and the left. And I see Jewishness as the common denominator. And you're right, it's not all Jewish people feel the same way. No one would say that, but that does seem to be the common denominator. And I just feel like it needs to be called out explicitly. And I like what you said the other day. If you're serving in another country's military, you have dual citizenship. You really can't be a part of this project.
It's obvious, right? Say it's obvious. Say it's obvious.
And that's an easy one.
Duh, of course. Yeah, you shouldn't have dual citizenship. Duh, of course.
But I am much more comfortable as a Christian and an American keeping it on that level because, it's easy to set rules, universal rules that apply to everyone, not just the Jews or the Christians or the anybody, just Americans can only serve in the U.S. military before they lose their passport. That's not the first.
I agree with that.
And I don't know, why not just say that?
Say what?
That. Why not make every statement about how Americans fought to be applicable to all Americans? It's the defense of universal values that will hold the country together, and the emphasis on
I agree with Tucker Carlson here. I think that the amount of people advocating for Somalia, for example, that's been a minor thing that's been going on. I view that the same. Israel is much more powerful and influential, but on a fundamental level, I view it as the same thing.
Prove values that will break it apart.
Still mad about
because
that one? Yeah.
This is a particular issue, and it's acute. Like I said, I think they're unique in that way. I think that's a unique issue, especially in the Republican Party, especially in the conservative scene.
So how would you like this all to be resolved?
What I would like is for the U.S. government to not be influenced by these kinds of foreign allegiances, not with money that come from, American citizens like Sheldon Adelson, not from foreign lobbyists. So, in terms of tangible things, I don't think we disagree on any of them, registering APAC and FARA, banning dual citizenship. I'm basically
80% of the public agrees with this.
Yeah, so that's
kind of what I guess is a little bit annoyed. It's these are America First, the concept. It's the most popular, self-evidently true idea you could have. let foreign powers, especially China, as far away, control their future. Like, of course not. Everyone knows that from both sides.
Yeah.
So the trick is not to let that idea get subverted.
Yeah, and I think we agree on that.
But it's subverted when they're like, that's hate. No, that's hate.
I think that the over-fixation around Jewish people explicitly, whenever this is a problem internationally with people that have allegiances to other countries, I think it is kind of a red herring that makes it harder to discuss the fundamental problem that everybody is pretty much on the same side of. So basically, like, if you think that, like, just Jews from Israel are the problem, well, I don't think that's really accurate, because I think it's basically anybody from another country that's coming into America to subvert America, to make it America act in the best interests of another country. So, like, if it's 99% one country, then will it always be 99% that one country? Because I think probably over time this will change. I think the fundamental thing is you stop the action, not the group. Because if you stop the group is going to identify differently, they're going to do different things. But if you stop the action, you really stop it at its very core. Or Mexico for us? Yeah, exactly, right? And so that's applies everywhere too? Yes, exactly. And easy pointer is APAC is the easiest one to point out. You can take the rest out. Yeah, sure. And what about dual citizens from Canada? Well, I would view it the same way. Yeah, I would view it the exact same way. I mean, Canada is very close to the United States, but it's not the United States. And if you're working in the best interests of Canada and you're in the United States, you need to leave. It's that simple.
Am I being paranoid? I feel like going on about the Jews, like, helps the neocons.
Well, what about my views do you think are unreasonable, if yours are reasonable?
I think, again, I don't think it's cucky. I think it's reality to say that guilt is not inherited. Blood guilt is bad. One of the reasons that I'm mad about Gaza,
I think that any type of blood guilt that you put on people, like, oh, you're guilty for this because of, like, what your parents did or what your, like, ancestors did, I think what's going to happen with that is that it will radicalize people in the next generation, and then it's going to create a lot of big problems. It doesn't create a problem immediately, but it will create problems over time. So according to you, you can't be American and a Jew? No, that's not what I said. Actually, I'm not even going to respond to your question, because you literally just you just took what I said and then turned it into something I didn't say. Just going to firm in. Yeah, I didn't say that.
because the Israeli position is everyone who lives in Gaza is terrorists because of how they were born, including women and their children. That's not a Western view. That's an Eastern view. That's a non-Christian. That's totally incompatible with Christianity and Western civilization. When they say, we're defenders of Western civilization. Not what that is. Collective punishment is the enemy of Western civilization.
Yeah, it is. It obviously is. It's very bad, and it's bad with anything, right? And so, yeah, it's exactly it. And what's as far as again, right from that down, I know it's insane, right? I disagree. I have dual citizenship with Poland and the U.S. It's way more convenient for many reasons. That's fine, but you're not going to run for office. Like, I'm not saying you shouldn't be allowed to have dual citizenship. I'm saying that if you run for public office or if you serve in a foreign military, you shouldn't have citizenship. Like, these are two very, very different things. Like, I'm not saying every single dual citizen has to get deported. That's retarded. No. I'm saying that if you are doing something that requires you to put the best interests of America first, then you need to renounce your citizenship with every other country. That is, like, this is the most reasonable and common sense position that anybody could ever have.
And so I hate that attitude. It's genocidal. The current claims that I'm a cancer, from Ben Shapiro or whatever, we need to be excised from the body of conservatism, is a genocidal position that it basically encourages violence, as they well know. The whole thing I hate. So, like, anytime you say a whole
Selective hearing, these people are bots. Bots.
group of people is responsible for the sins of some of its members, I'm out.
Yeah, but that's not my view.
It's not. Okay. So tell me your views. Like, rather than you're one of those people. One of the reasons I wanted to meet you is you're one of those people who is defined by clips.
Yes.
And I'm one of those people also.
Yes. Yeah.
So I get it. So I'm going to do shut up, and you tell me what you actually think.
Yeah, well, and listen, I mean, and I appreciate you saying that because that's just the reality of the media environment we're in. So I don't expect you to know all my views, but I mean, as far as the Jews are concerned, I think that, like I said, you cannot actually divorce Israel and the neocons and all of those things that you talk about from Jewishness, ethnicity, religion, identity. And let me give you like a perfect example. So you say on your show that we need to treat Israel like any other country. And I sort of understand that in principle.
Yeah.
Because Israel is another foreign country.
Yeah.
But Israel is unlike every other country in the sense that because the Jewish people are in the diaspora all over the world, there are significant numbers of Jews in Europe, but also in the United States, and because of their unique heritage and story, which is that they're a stateless people, they're unassimilable, they resist assimilation for thousands of years, and I think that's a good thing. And now they have this territory in Israel. There's a deep religious affection for the state. It's bound up in their identity, the story of the Exodus from Egypt, the promise of the land, all these things. So let's say in the United States, for example, somebody like a Sheldon Adelson, he's not Israeli. Is he an ideological neocon? Does he believe in the promise of democratic globalism? I don't think necessarily. His heart is in Israel. And it's because he is a proud Jewish person. And I guess what I'm saying is that if you are a Jewish person in America, you're sort of, and again, it's not because they're born, but it's sort of a rational self-interest politically to say, I'm a minority. I'm a religious, ethnic minority. This is not really my home.
See, this is what I was always worried about with identity politics, is that when the identity politics started, that eventually everybody would start playing the game. And I think that what you're seeing now is you're seeing a lot of people that are white that are also playing the identity politics game. And I think that that's really kind of what, I think that's what Nick Fuentes represents in a pretty big way. What's his point? That basically identity politics is a game, and by not playing it, you're losing. And because of that, he's advocating for white people and for Christians, or to also play into identity politics. That's basically what he's saying. It's like, I can see what he's saying. I fucking hate identity politics, but he is right that I don't think that there's any way that people are going to get away from it.
Ancestral home is in Israel. There's like a natural affinity that Jews have for Israel, and I would say on top of that, for the international Jewish community. They're extremely organized. Many of them are critical of Israel or Israel's current government or the project of Israel. But I guess what they have in common, unlike, let's say, like Singapore, for example, is that they have this international community across borders, extremely organized, that is putting the interests of themselves before the interests of their home country. And there's no other country that has a similar arrangement like that. No other country has a strong identity like that, this religious blood and soil conviction, this history of being in the diaspora, stateless, wandering, persecuted, and in particular, the historic animosity between the Jewish people and the Europeans. They hate the Romans because the Romans destroyed the temple. That's why Eric Weinstein goes to the Arch of Titus and gives it the finger and takes a picture. And we don't think like that as Americans and white people. We don't think about the Roman Empire 2,000 years ago. They do. And so...
This is, bro, like, see, now we're going to have identity politics with everything. Like, I'm telling you, like, this is exactly where things are going. Is that you are going to have, I do think that you're going to have white people identity politics in less than 5 years. It's got worse? Yeah, I absolutely think so.
I guess that's really... And
we already have, bro? No, I'm talking about it being out, like, it's been implied. There's been a long time that it's been kind of just like, yeah, I would say it's been implied, or it's been kind of begging the question of it, but never stated. I think that we already do. No, not compared to what I think is going to happen. The whole thing sounds icky. I'm not a big fan of identity politics, but I can see why people feel like if they don't play the identity politics game, the people that do will win. It's a very bad situation, to be honest. What do you mean by white people identity politics? Well, so what I mean by that is that white people expressing own group preference for people inside of, like, let's say their ethnic group at a extremely high ratio, similar to what minorities experience as own group preference as well. And so, for example, white people choosing to pick white people being more willing to say that a white person isn't guilty of a crime, things like that. That's what I think. That's where I think things are going. White guy DEI, yeah.
I don't think that's me saying the Jews, the Jews, the Jews. I don't think that's me being hateful. I don't think that's me being collectivist. I think that's understanding that identity politics, whether you love it or hate it, whatever you feel about it, it's a reality that we live in a world of Jews and Christians, of whites and blacks. These identities mean something to us, and they mean things to each other, and we can't sort of wish them away. And it feels like white people and Christians are the only ones that do that.
And I think that's the reason why so much of this identity politics stuff has grown bigger. And I think it will continue getting even bigger too. Just a second. There it is. Okay. Yeah, I think it's going to keep growing, and it's going to keep getting more and more and more popular. And I'm trying to see if there's any more of these here that I've missed out on, etc. And okay, here we go. We got one more. And let's see here. Not only bigger, but worse. Well, I don't know. I did Twitter review. I changed my profile picture. That's one. So, yeah. And the enemy of the Christians is radical Islam, not Judaism. I'm not going to... I don't want to argue about that. Like, this is some religious conflict. I'm not going to be involved. I'm not a particularly religious guy, okay? So you're coming at me with the wrong thing. But my point is that white identity... How would you fix identity politics? I don't think that you really ever can, but I think that the best way to do it is to provide an abundance of resources for people to the best degree possible. And the more that people are able to just think about their own shit, they're not going to be thinking about other people's shit. So that's my general outlook on it, is that keep people distracted by keeping their lives relatively pleasant, enjoyable, without necessarily condemning them or making them live in like shitty houses. So that's a slop answer? Well, it's not though, right? Because if somebody is occupied with their own life, they're not going to be thinking about and angry about a bunch of other fucking people. Most people that have had some like bad experience or something like that, or that are very into this, many of them don't have a lot of resources. I think that resources are a huge component of this. And I think also elevating different groups, like through different types of representation, works against them. So, like, for example, like, in my opinion, I think we had less racism in, like, 2004, minus, like, maybe, I guess, probably Arab because of 9/11. But minus that, we had less racism, less genuine racism than we do now. I think now we have way more racism. And the reason why is because people were treated generally the same. You could make jokes about different stuff and people knew that was being done in good faith. But whenever you have the inmates take over the asylum, that's really what it is. So, yeah. Tropic Thunder was Peak Society? Yes, Tropic Thunder was the pinnacle. Everything before that was leading up to it. Everything after that was falling off. That was it. Has an identity politics more or less just been part of history? It has. It always will be part of it. But I think that, like, you can solve a lot of identity problems through class-based solutions. Does that make sense? So, like, for example, like, I don't agree with affirmative action based off of race. Like, so, for example, like, just because you're black, I don't think that you should get any advantage in a hiring process or in a scholarship process or in a college application process. I do that with women, Asian, Indian, anything like that, right? Everybody should be treated the exact same. However, I do think that if you're from an underprivileged family, for example, like you have less money, I think that is a tangible thing that can be quantified, and you can say this is a genuine disadvantage, and we need to give these people a little bit extra help. And I think that those tangible advantages will disproportionately help minorities, like black people. Like they would disproportionately help black people way more than they would help white people, at least per capita. But does that make it a bad system? No, it doesn't. It's the same as having a law. If a law arrests a lot of people of a certain demographic, that doesn't make the law bad or racist. No, it doesn't. It's the same as this. Just because you have a system that benefits one group of people, you should look at what the intent of the system is, and is the idea good, rather than is the group of people that it affects good. That's the big problem. So that's the way that I look at it. So I agree with that kind of identity politics in a way, but I think that, again, if you approach it from a class-based perspective, you can nerf identity politics in a big way. I think that you will never get rid of it, but you can make it less consequential. Do you see kind of what I'm saying? It means they should stop being criminals? Well, yeah, exactly, right? I mean, it doesn't matter, like, if you do a bunch of arrests and you're arresting everybody for shoplifting, I don't care if every person you arrest is Mexican, white, black, or Indian, or Asian. If every single one of them is one of these races, then they all still stole shit and they should go to jail. It's that simple. So it doesn't matter really kind of what the results are demographically for a change. You should look at what the change is, and does the change lead to a more harmonious and a better society? And if the answer to that is yes, then you should apply the change regardless of who it affects. We kind of full retard? Yeah. It's basically like people are using inverse logic to determine whether ideas are good or not. As a naturalized citizen, totally agree. Yeah, of course. If you do it by money only, it catches people that are falling along hard times, not leaving some behind because of their color. Well, it depends, right? I mean, I think that falling on hard times is very quantifiably bad. Color is less quantifiably bad. I do think that, like, for example, like minorities, especially blacks, have had systematic, like, there are ripple effects of systematic racism that the black community experiences even today. I think this is true. I know this is going to be an argument. A lot of people are going to disagree with this, but I do think that it's legitimately true. But I think that the way that you solve those problems, the way that you deal with that, is that you approach them from a class-based perspective. Because some families are more affected by it than others, and there are other white families that have the basically same problem, but it's just in reverse. You see kind of what I'm saying? So, like, Asians get a lot worse over COVID? Yeah. Having food bombs that we're chatting ready for? Yeah, exactly. Are Indians, Asians? It depends, right? And so that's really the way that I would look at everything. It was almost an overcorrection. Yeah, I think it was an overcorrection in a lot of ways. Absolutely. Race is a correlated statistic for class. Yeah, well, I mean, and I think that really things like that should be class-based. So I'm not against the idea of affirmative action. I'm just against the idea of it being race-based. That's all. Or gender-based or sex-based. Right? Or sexuality-based, excuse me. Marxism is showing? It's not Marxism to think that people that are poor should have a little bit of a help. I think the fact is that that is the American dream. That is fun. And if you don't let people be able to pursue that, I think that you have a sick society. You have a society that are, you know, there are a lot of societies in other countries that are like this, and I don't want to live there. Is that socialism? Social security, you could say, was socialism. The idea that something is bad categorically because you could describe it as socialism is lazy, brain-dead thinking. You can look at what a system is. Is this system beneficial or not, rather than tying your beliefs to a preconceived notion of a blanket term. That's what I think. Let's keep going.
How do you explain, like, how could Ted Cruz and there are a lot like that, John Bolton, I mean, I've known them, George W. Bush, like Karl Rove, I mean, all people I know personally who I've seen be seized by this brain virus, and they're not Jewish. Most of them are self-described Christians, and then the Christian Zionists who are, well, Christian Zionists. Like, what is that? Right. I can just say for myself,
it's a perversion of their religion, I think. It's people that think that, Jews are God's chosen people or something like that, and that's the reason why. I think that the concept that God has a chosen people, no, he does not. This is sick. It is a sick mentality. It is a sick mentality that can be used to justify infinitely many horrible things. And if you just look at history, you'll see that I've been right about that every single time.
I dislike him more than anybody. because like
They're
what?
imposters.
Because it's for Harris. That's why. So I don't like why not? Like I'm just
Heresy, brother.
Very good. I said that a million times. I've been mad since
No time to rest.
December of 2003 when I went to
Undead
Iraq.
warriors will
And so like
soon
I went
arrive.
and asked straightforward questions to Ted Cruz because that seemed like he's a
Yeah,
sitting
Ted Cruz is totally captured by this. It's very disappointing.
serving for Israel by no description. He seemed like a worthy target. I'm not going after him so much. He's like the most sincere. Like why not go after Ted Cruz? I don't know.
Yeah, I think he's right about that. Yeah, Ted Cruz definitely cucks too much for Israel. It's pretty fucking obvious. I can't see how anybody would see otherwise if you want me to be totally real, right? They have evidence against them. Maybe, I don't know, right? I have no idea. And let me see if I can find a few more of these here. And all right, we'll do. Okay, we'll do 2 more. How about that? 2 more.
And I thought that early of it. The way I look at it is like when you look at your favorite TV show, right? Sopranos, Breaking Bad, it's like the wife is the villain. Because it's like the main character, if the wife could just get out of the way, would be running the show. And that's kind of how I feel like Ayn Rand, I agree with her about this. She said that the wife's role is like the guy is the hero, the guy is supposed to be the entrepreneur, the conqueror, whatever. And the woman is really supposed to support the man's goals and be in his world. And I
That's
felt that.
Successful men
You're
so great. You get that at work. You don't want that at home. You become an unbearable asshole, and then you fall prey to what destroys every successful man, which is hubris. Like you mistake yourself for God. You need someone who's not interested in what you do at all, only interested in you. And that's how you become balanced and wise. That's how you know your own limits. Because the ass kissing is what kills.
I think this is something where both people are right. Where, like, I think what Tucker Carlson is saying is true. Where, like, you get delusional if you just have people only gassing you up. But I think it's also good to have your wife or just, I mean, this is not even just about a wife. I mean, I think a husband should be supportive to his wife too, right? It's just a different dynamic. I think it's both of these things are true.
It's not, I mean, you had someone come to murder you at home, it doesn't seem to have affected you that much.
And if I were married, dude, she would never let me hear the end of it.
Well, that's probably true, but that's not what destroys men. It's not adversity that destroys men. It's comfort and flattery that destroys men.
I was just thinking of something that happened recently.
Right? That's what happened to King David. It's what happens to them all.
Yeah.
You're so great. You can never go wrong.
I just feel like we have I don't feel like we have an abundance of affection from women.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like in terms of where the pendulum is at, I feel like the women are very unloving to the men. That's why like they don't cook. Because that's like the best way to express love for a man. I said this on my show the other night. I'm like, the most beautiful words a woman can say is like, I made you dinner, I made you cookies. You know? But that is like an act of love.
Oh, man.
You know, speaking of maybe from a different generation, the way that men feel now.
No, I will tell you this, right, is that I don't know if I should share this story. I'm going to just share this story. So anyway, there was this one girl I was talking to, and she was from another country. It was an Asian country. And she said that if she came to America, that she'd cook me steak every day. And I thought she was lost. And then she actually, like, she would show me, like, that she'd cook stuff every single day. Now, obviously, this never worked out. Nothing happened. But, of course, can you believe that? But I was just like, wait, what the fuck? Is this real? No, this is another one. And you guys don't know about this one. And so this is, yeah, normal person, right? And I was like, wait, is this, there's no way this is like a legit thing, right? So I didn't believe that. The cookies made an ant part of your stomach? I mean, I don't know, like, never, like, I just like eating out, so I usually just take it out and just eat about where you want to go. The only problem is like if they want to go to some nasty ass fucking shithole that sells like sushi or something, stupid like that. That's the only thing that sucks. Yeah, like eating, yeah, I like going to restaurants that fucking go like I don't know, like Golden Corral, right? Fucking I don't know, like a KFC.
Like
throw down.
are not really providing for
Strong sushi. Fucking stunner.
They expect so much from the men. They want the man to be rich and provide. They want the man to be fit and a real leader and a real man. They also want to split the chores with the man. They want the man to do half the laundry, half the dishes, and things like that. And it's like, so what do you do all day? You're on TikTok? You're like doom scrolling and eating Cheetos? Like what actually are you providing in your relationship? So I feel like there's a deficit. It's like women.
See, we gotta get those robot waifus real quick. We gotta get this locked in.
I think assertive, always giving their opinions, always critiquing, always, I think that they're very bold right now, and I think
Yeah, there was one, I'm like, whenever we go out, we go for a coffee ball. Whenever I'm out on a date with a man, I figure he doesn't really want to talk to me, and I'll just wait until I'm smoking for a coffee. I'm like, wow. Like what? Wait, what? I didn't even know that was a thing.
I think that's
Yeah. That's a slave? Is that easy? I think he's probably right about that. I mean, you've got to have somebody that's a teammate, not a fangirl, right? I think that's definitely it. Absolutely, for sure. This is the one. Talking about this, pornography is not just advertising homosexual rights, it's making people gay and we still have 3 more years of this shit until the next election. And then after that election, 4 more years of that shit. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's a whole lot. We already have a king? Yeah, but maybe there might be an uprising against the king in 2028, right? And so then we might have to defend the king, obviously, right? Right, guys?
And so something that is almost never talked about is that this is a generation that's totally sexually dysfunctional, I think, because of pornography. And some people are able to cope with it. Some people don't have a problem. But I think a lot of people, and maybe a small minority, have a serious problem with it. And the problem, people are sexually dysfunctional. I think that it's impossible for a real woman to compete with the availability and the novelty of pornography. A real woman,
2D is greater than 3D. I've heard this before.
Like without getting graphic, she's only one person, and maybe she wants to do something sexual, maybe she doesn't. Or you could have 100 different women in one sitting, doing anything that whatever niche or idiosyncratic thing a person might be into, it's there. Yeah. And so I think that
they can have cat ears.
True. Combined with that availability, it makes it so that when you think about courting a woman, juices and not the squeeze. And so there's like also problems like erectile dysfunction. People that can't enjoy regular sex because it does not compare to the intensity, the novelty, and the availability of porn.
Man, that is crazy. Remember what I was telling you guys? I wasn't joking, but y'all thought I was joking about people who could only be attracted to animals that don't exist. Remember whenever I would say that all the time and everybody would be laughing? There's not as many people laughing anymore, are there? There's more people agreeing.
Hyper stimulation. And so I think that's sabotaging a lot of normal sexual relationships.
Seems like it's making a lot of people gay, too.
Yeah, and trans.
You think that's true? 100%. What do you think?
I think that the novelty is a part of it. I think that if you are somebody that uses pornography multiple times per day, which many people do,
You get bored at like one thing and then you want to do something else. Or maybe, I don't know.
Can you repeat your success?
oh, absolutely.
That's a lot of jerking off.
It's a huge problem.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
No.
Actually,
Oh, absolutely.
that's a lot of jerking off.
It's a huge problem.
This might be one of the best interviews. I gotta tell you guys. This might be one of those top 10s. Whoa!
Vengeance is
And, you know, you're doing that multiple times a day, every day, for years, since you're a kid.
Yeah.
Well, eventually you get bored. You want to move on to something more extreme.
Yeah.
And you're kind of, it operates, I think, similar
Let me guess, psychopaths killing animals and killing people.
to like a drug. You kind of have the same kind of resistance to it that you would to a drug, a tolerance for it. And you're always chasing that initial feeling the first time you used it, or the first time you saw a certain thing.
Yep.
And I think eventually you just chase more taboo, more transgressive. And I think maybe some people are more prone to that than other people going in a really good direction.
How Charlie Sheen got AIDS.
Yeah.
Just getting jaded and looking for some more attention. That's just a fact.
And there's something too about what it does when you look at it. Because people don't realize that it is a fundamentally different experience being involved in intercourse versus watching other people have intercourse.
I hear
and I
that.
think that actually does something to
I'm not
you.
sure, but
I think that, you know, for example, I think Steve Saylor has written about this, that there's multiple kinds of transsexuals. And he says that one kind of transsexual is somebody that likes the idea of seeing themselves as a woman. There's autogynephilia.
Yes.
And I think that, you know, one of the theories for that is you watch a man having sex with a woman that is used so much, you kind of achieve an identity with the woman in like a weird, sick way. You almost identify with the woman.
oh shit!
So there's weird things that happen when you're watching that and having such strong emotional and
I haven't had that happen.
sexual experiences with it.
Yeah, not yet. Not yet, bro. Like, yeah, that's. I mean, maybe, right? I mean, I don't know. That's some Freudian logic. I mean, there's, you know, I'm sure there's logic attached to it for sure. But, man, that is just already has 8.8 million views with 69K likes. Oh my god, man! Wow, that is.
a champion has fallen.
The EU wants to kill microtransactions. Thank God. This has been, and I really think that microtransactions in games, it's just there's too many of them. There's way too many of them. W? Yeah, we'll see what happens.
Well, the EU are up to regulatory shenanigans again. The question is, will this be good for us or will it be bad for us? With that in mind, here's a quote. Let's not kill one of Europe's few tech success stories. That was a rather damning statement given by the CEO of Supercell. And it's latest the war that has been steadily raging since April, because that's when the EU unveiled new guidelines for microtransactions.
If your idea of tech success is guilting and like tricking kids into spending their parents' money, like I wouldn't really say that's a tech success. That's like saying a Nigerian prince email scam is a tech success.
Action in the game. Now, for some of the justice, the industry is speaking out. Now, obviously, in one way, that's all kind of hilarious. And you sort of think, yeah, Nintendo games are all bullshit, it's not very manipulative. It's probably good that someone is getting involved. Big picture, that is what I think.
I do think so. I think they should regulate microtransactions, absolutely. Any sort of payment, like basically, I think they should make it to where you can only buy things in video games for the local currency. So there are no gems, there are no tokens, there are no crystals, there are no prima gems. There are no, icons. There are no tickets. There are no coins. There are no bars. There is no silver. There is no gold. There is just dollars or European fucking whatever the fuck they use over there. European euros. Anything, right? No V-Bucks. Yes, local pricing only. Now, I would be willing to compromise with local pricing being required next to the pricing in terms of the gym and in terms of everything else. I would be okay with that compromise, but even that I think is just, it's obfuscation.
Sad.
Because again, like the reason why they have those tickets and all those different currencies, the reason why they exist is so you don't know how much money you spend, right? It's to confuse you. It's to like abstract the money that you're spending and to separate you from the dollar amount, and that way you're confused. And on a fundamental level, what are you doing? You're misleading the customer. Well, I don't think you have a business model that's built around misleading the customer. That's bullshit.
People in this rear segment this week ruin everything that they built. I mean, just look at it. Maybe we should build a piece of shit. What the Super Segment says. Basically, according to a lot of them, they say these regulations will worsen the player experience and also wouldn't improve protections.
How is the player experience improved by having to spend money in the game? It's not.
It is a bit that increased interest. They also say this would cause widespread collateral damage to one of the owner's biggest purchases. So here's the thing. He's not entirely wrong. He's not entirely right. It's definitely stuff for us to talk about. This one's going to be a goddamn trip. And I get this all can be a lot. We've got tariff and trade negotiations affecting everything from straight food pricing to gaming privacy laws. And that means you need a full picture. And that's where ground news comes in. It's where I go to cut through the clickbait and to understand what's happening. They're today's video sponsor.
For me, the way I get my news is I just make it up.
And here's the story of the EU pushing back against Trump's tech regulation threats. We've got 107 sources here covering it, but a striking 63% on the left, 29% of the center, and only 8% on the right. That's an imbalance that put it straight into Ground News' blind spot feed.
I believe it.
And the headline comparison is kind of fascinating here. You've got
make up
Le Monde,
statistics.
a left-leaning
make up
and
everything.
rated very high factuality outlet running EU defends its digital rules as sovereign right after Trump's tariff threat. Another outlet, Americans
Most
for Tax
journalists do the
Reform,
same.
or right-leaning with
What's on
mixed
the Pope of
factuality
journalism?
rating, flips it, saying Trump slams EU digital regulations as discriminatory attack on US giants. So you see the same diplomatic clashes, but opposite heroes and villains. And just those factualities alone show you where you are or are not seeing spin. So ground actually means what you see is reliable.
Yeah.
And when only 8% of right-leaning outlets are touching a major piece of US EU tech news, yeah, you're kind of missing how this is playing politically. Now, I get all...
Honestly, the reason why is because all these people and what they do is, what do you call it? Like, these news outlets are total fucking propaganda places. Totally full of shit, totally propaganda.
All of this with ground news.
Did you lose
is
your
that
check mark in Twitter? Yeah, because I changed my profile picture.
Vantage plan. It gives you bias
It doesn't
ratings
get
from
checked.
3 independent agencies, side-by-side headline comparisons, and, let's say, their tech interest page. You can just see all the tech stories from all the angles. And if you go to ground.news/Bello, you'll get 40% off unlimited access with the Vantage plan. That's the plan that I use, and that is the best deal of the year for my subs for limited time. So, if you want to check it out, hit up that link.
Wow.
Here's a fun fact to get us going. This was kind of kicked off by a Swedish horse game.
That's what you get.
Here we are. The autumn legislative sessions are started, and we're right at the end of the first for the Digital Fairness Act. So, would you like some fairness in digital form?
No, no. Should be fake. Everything should be fake.
An EU legislative agenda that covers loads of features interested with consumer protections. Now, for our purposes, it includes features like deceptive interface design, they do manipulative elements, addictive elements, and unfair
Oh, I remember I got that good.
personalization practices. You might think, oh, I love
I
things.
remember Emmy rolled for that character. She spent all the money on buying a new character. And it wasn't
personalized. Less so whenever a game is trying to exploit the really wanting that upgrade and is giving you a targeted deal. It probably has 90% value.
800% value? I might buy it right now.
And you may remember our coverage from back in April, where we got to talk about the Force game.
Digital currency is bullshit. It's intentionally a scam. It's made to scam you. It's made so you waste your money. That's what it does.
That's what it is. Is it the Consumer Protection Corporation Network, rolls off the tongue, laid out some new insights, and this all came as a part of the case of it against Swedish mobile game Star Stables. Now what we're talking about
The version Star Stable versus the Chad Una Musume. You don't hear anything like this happening to Uma Musume, do you? Absolutely not.
implementation period is building on those principles from the whole Force game style. What that means is most acquiring real monetary value in this case, not just removing
Wait, so they were watching the stream? Damn!
currency options, ensuring refunds are available. Imagine that, a refund on a jam. Crazy stuff. And also, kids, but also to everyone because games are implemented. At the time, the industry was obviously not really thrilled. They love making money.
Here's the thing. A lot of these companies make a bunch of money because they're able to eliminate stupid kids from spending their money. This is a predatory system. It's based off of something that shouldn't be happening. It's fundamentally unethical. And there should be laws and regulations that keep it in check. Anybody that disagrees with that is either getting paid because of it or retarded.
Where things left off is with the industry to help everything. 6 months later, the industry mood has not improved in the light of by the way, Supercell are like Flash Plains people, so
I'm thinking about going back to Flash Plains again.
Some top-tier creative gaming content. That's just one of several best we've seen in the last weeks. That is a striking one from the
I'm sorry?
Basically, 27 billion euro industry harmed by the DFA or the guidelines.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, you don't want to lose money. Okay, yeah, wow, what a surprise. I can't believe it. Oh my God, what a shock. You don't want to lose money.
It's here, and he argues that they are, quote, great. Many games fundamentally work, and they will harm the player experience, especially if games. He uses a familiar metaphor for the game currency works. And it's one that was okay for the legal framework before the new guidelines came out. And basically, the idea that family can buy tokens involved. They can buy tokens, or they can even win tokens in bar. And to him, this is a frame that is put
Retard logic, retard argumentation. The difference is that it's like a casino versus an online website where you can gamble. A casino you go into has in-person age verification, and you're accompanied by an adult that is there to chaperone you around in the area. If you compare this to video games, these video games do not have that same type of thing. Everybody knows that, and because of that, I get that. I don't want to hear it again. But like, I'll look at it later. I don't want to like fucking watch it live. I'll watch it later. And so anyway, it's not even just get takes advantage of our brain's reward center to get you to spend money easily and fast. I think that if you want to get into it, takes advantage of your brain's reward centers, you would actually end up painting with such a broad brush that you attack all advertising, period, right? And so, like, I do think some types of advertising should be illegal, but for the most part, I think generally letting adults make adult decisions is good. letting children make decisions that are against their best interest because of the lack of adult supervision is bad. And it's pretty simple, right?
Fun. Avoiding repeated
That's why I think
transactions. You can buy loads of tokens at once. And then contrast this with the actual worst case in the behaviors, where individual rental approval for any token used, including signed contract agreements, regardless of purchase value and all of that, would basically
That's exactly it would. It would harm the. You're right. It would.
Regardless of purchase value, Pride must display a real cost in euros based on the fixed standard, not, token dollars that count even in the prices. They believe that it's real money, despite obviously not cash out. In reality, the visitors get frustrated and leave. Because of experience.
Well, it's simple. It is. The thing is that
what's simple for you is getting their money. And maybe it shouldn't be that simple for you to be able to trick a 9-year-old into spending their parents' money. Maybe that shouldn't be simple.
I changed the
What?
system. These arguments use the existing frameworks in industry structure. Now, we will come back to how Supercell responds to the reasons. Yes. This video, but going on suggests these new policies could result in
They're also forcing video game companies that rely on optional purchases of in-game content to look at other business models like advertising-based revenues, which we have to user experience. Well, how about you just figure out, like, the thing is that if your business requires you to engage in unethical practices in order for it to exist, maybe your business shouldn't exist. That's the main problem. Is that, like, if you have your business and it's taking advantage of people and it's problematic, that's it.
using other monetization models, things like more in-game advertising. And this feeling has actually got a lot of backing. Multiple large European game developers sent a letter to the EU. And I have to say, a massive thank you to one of our members, Neo Nebulosa, for helping us navigate the fun industrial nuances of the continent.
That's legit predatory practices? Absolutely.
For real, this shit's complicated. Now, what happened is that Euractiv saw the letter, and then industry-wide bodies like the European Game Developer Federation also got involved. And they're all very worried, and this is based on legal interpretations of current proposals and what they would mean for them.
What you have to understand is that everything that they do and everything that they say is intended